Some people don't walk into your life with bad intentions. Sometimes, they walk in carrying broken dreams, unanswered prayers, and a smile that hides more pain than words ever could. Lydia was one of those people. At 28, she had lost almost everything she had worked for. The marketing company she had faithfully served for 6 years suddenly shut down. Within weeks, she had packed everything she owned into 3 suitcases and returned to the city where she had grown up. Finding another job wasn't easy. Interview after interview ended with the same disappointing response. "We appreciate your interest, but we've decided to move forward with another candidate." Every rejection chipped away at her confidence. One rainy afternoon, while sitting alone in a small cafe searching through job listings, her phone rang. It was Naomi, her childhood friend. The two had once been inseparable, but life had taken them in different directions. Marriage, careers, responsibilities. Even though years had passed, Naomi had never forgotten her friend. When she heard about Lydia's situation, she didn't hesitate. "Come and stay with us until you get back on your feet." Lydia was speechless. Accepting help had never been easy for her. After a long pause, she quietly asked, "Are you sure?" Naomi smiled. "Your family." 2 days later, Lydia arrived at Naomi's house carrying nothing more than 3 suitcases, and hoped that life would finally change. Naomi embraced her warmly. Inside the house, everything felt peaceful. Family photos covered the walls. Soft music played in the background. The smell of freshly cooked food filled the air. Then Naomi introduced her husband, Daniel. "This is Lydia." Daniel smiled warmly and extended his hand. "Welcome home." It was a simple greeting. Nothing unusual. Nothing suspicious. 3 people standing together, completely unaware that this ordinary moment would become the beginning of a story none of them could have imagined. Sometimes, it's not the people we welcome into our homes that change everything. Sometimes, it's the thoughts we allow into our hearts. Lydia settled into the house far more quickly than she expected. She wasn't the type of person to sit around all day. Every morning, before Naomi even woke up, she made her bed, cleaned her room, and searched for new job openings. By the time Naomi came downstairs, breakfast was already on the table. "I should be helping you." Naomi laughed. Lydia smiled. "You already are." Days turned into weeks. The house felt lighter with another person around. They laughed over old childhood memories, cooked together, watched movies together. For the first time in months, Lydia felt like she belonged somewhere again. Daniel was always respectful. He left for work early every morning and returned before dinner. He never crossed any boundaries, never said anything inappropriate, never gave Naomi a reason to doubt him. One evening, Lydia struggled with her laptop. "I don't know what's wrong with this thing," she sighed. "It keeps freezing every time I try to upload my resume." Daniel looked over. "Pretty good with computers." "Let me see." Within minutes, he fixed the problem. "You just saved me," Lydia said. Naomi smiled. "My husband can fix almost anything." Everyone laughed. It was just a normal moment. But a few days later, Naomi came home earlier than expected. She heard laughter from the living room. Daniel and Lydia were sitting together with a laptop between them. Lydia was laughing. Daniel was laughing too. "What did I miss?" Naomi asked. Lydia explained they were practicing for her job interview. Everyone laughed again. But later that night, something changed. Not because anything had happened, But because Naomi started noticing things she had never noticed before. She looked at social media. Perfect marriages. Perfect couples. Perfect lives. Then she saw videos warning women to be careful about the people they trusted. Most affairs start as friendships. She looked at Daniel sleeping peacefully beside her. She knew he loved her. She knew Lydia was her friend. But doubt had entered quietly. And sometimes, a small doubt can grow into a big problem. Once doubt enters the heart, it has a way of changing how we see things. The same actions that once seemed innocent can suddenly look suspicious. And Naomi didn't realize it, but she had started searching for evidence of something that might not even exist. A few weeks passed. Lydia continued looking for work. Daniel continued supporting her like a brother would. But Naomi started noticing every little thing. One morning, she walked into the kitchen and saw Daniel making coffee. "Where's Lydia?" she asked. Daniel smiled. "She had an early interview. I dropped her off because her car wasn't starting." Naomi paused. "You dropped her off?" Daniel looked confused. "Yes, she needed help." "Right." It was only one word. But Daniel felt something different in her voice. That evening, Lydia came home excited. "I think this interview went really well." Naomi smiled. "That's great." But her smile didn't reach her eyes. Later, while putting away laundry, Naomi found a small note in Daniel's jacket pocket. She picked it up. "Thank you for believing in me. I don't know what I would have done without you." Her heart dropped. For a moment she couldn't breathe. The words were innocent, but in her mind, they sounded different. She didn't ask Daniel about it. She didn't ask Lydia. Instead, she kept it to herself. And silence gave her imagination room to create a story. Over the next few days, Naomi started becoming distant. She watched how Daniel spoke to Lydia. She noticed every laugh, every conversation, every kind gesture. Things she once appreciated about her husband now became things she questioned. One evening, Daniel noticed, "Are you okay?" Naomi looked away. "I'm fine." But she wasn't. The space between them grew. Daniel didn't understand what he had done wrong. And Lydia began noticing the change too. The warmth that once filled the house felt different. One afternoon, Lydia walked into the kitchen and saw Naomi quickly closing a message on her phone. "Everything okay?" Lydia asked. Naomi forced a smile. "Yes, everything is fine." But Lydia knew something was wrong. She had lost many things in life. Her job, her home, her confidence. The last thing she wanted was to lose her friend's trust. That night, something unexpected happened. Naomi's phone rang. It was an unknown number. She almost ignored it. But something made her answer. A woman's voice spoke. "Hello, am I speaking with Naomi?" "Yes. I need to tell you something about your husband." Naomi froze. Her heart started racing. "What about my husband?" There was a pause. Then the woman continued, "I think you need to know the truth." Naomi slowly looked toward Daniel, who was sitting across the room. For the first time, she wondered if her fears had been right all along. Sometimes the truth doesn't arrive the way we expect. Sometimes the thing we feared the most was never the real danger. Naomi held the phone tightly against her ear. "Who is this?" The woman's voice sounded calm. "My name is Sarah. I work at a company where Lydia applied for a position." Naomi's heart slowed slightly. Lydia? Yes. I wanted to call because something important happened. Naomi listened carefully. Your husband contacted our office to recommend Lydia for the position. He spoke very highly of her skills and character. Naomi said nothing. The woman continued. He told us she had been through a difficult season and deserved another chance. Naomi felt confused. Wait, Daniel contacted you? Yes. He didn't want Lydia to know, because he didn't want her to feel like she only got the job because of sympathy. The room became silent. Suddenly, every moment, Naomi had questions started looking different. The late-night calls, the laughter, the help, the help, the help, the help, the help, kindness. None of it was what she had imagined. She ended the call slowly. Daniel looked at her. Is everything okay? For a few seconds, Naomi couldn't speak. Then tears filled her eyes. Why didn't you tell me? Daniel looked surprised. Tell you what? That you were helping Lydia find a job. Daniel sat down. I thought you knew. Naomi shook her head. No, I didn't. A painful silence filled the room. Not because of what Daniel had done, but because of what Naomi had thought. I thought. She stopped. She didn't even want to say the words out loud. Daniel looked at her gently. You thought I was doing something wrong. Naomi looked down. She couldn't deny it. Daniel sighed. Naomi, I would never betray you. Those words hurt more because they were true. Later that evening, Naomi sat with Lydia. I owe you an apology. Lydia looked confused. For what? Naomi took a deep breath. I allowed my thoughts to change the way I saw you. Lydia became quiet. She understood. I never wanted to come between you and Daniel. I know that now. Naomi whispered. Lydia smiled sadly. Sometimes people don't hurt us because they don't love us. Sometimes they hurt us because they are afraid. Those words stayed with Naomi, because she realized something important. The biggest problem in her marriage was never Lydia. It was the fear and insecurity that had been growing inside her. But there was still one more thing Naomi needed to face. Why had she been so quick to believe the worst? A few weeks later, Naomi sat quietly in the garden, watching the sunset. Everything around her looked the same. The flowers, the house, the peaceful neighborhood. But inside, she was different. She had learned a lesson she would never forget. The problem had never been Lydia. The problem had been the story Naomi created in her own mind. She remembered the first moment doubt entered her heart. A simple laugh. A kind gesture. A social media video. A thought she never questioned. And slowly, that thought became something bigger. She realized how easily fear can make us see enemies where there are only people who care about us. That evening, Daniel joined her outside. For a while, they sat in silence. Then Naomi spoke. I'm sorry. Daniel looked at her. For what? For not trusting your heart. For creating a story about you without ever asking you the truth. Daniel reached for her hand. Marriage isn't about never making mistakes. It's about choosing to be honest and choosing each other again. Those words meant everything to her. Their marriage wasn't perfect, but it was stronger because they learned something important. Love doesn't survive because problems never come. Love survives because people are willing to communicate, forgive, and grow. A month later, Lydia received wonderful news. She got the job. It was the fresh start she had been praying for. On her last evening, staying with Naomi and Daniel, the three of them sat together for dinner. There was laughter again. Real laughter. The kind that comes when there is nothing hidden. Lydia looked at Naomi. "Thank you for opening your home to me." Naomi smiled. "Thank you for reminding me what true friendship looks like." The next morning, Lydia left with her suitcases. But this time, they weren't filled with disappointment. They were filled with hope. As she walked away from the house, Naomi watched her friend leave. She thought about how close she came to losing something precious because of assumptions. Because she believed what fear whispered louder than what love had shown her. And maybe that's a lesson we all need to remember. Not every smile hides a secret. Not every friendship is a threat. Not every thought deserves to be believed. Before accusing someone, ask. Before assuming, listen. Because sometimes the thing destroying our peace isn't what someone else is doing. Sometimes it's the story we have created without knowing the truth. The end.